Right. So this video is to help people to resolve their head versus heart issues. Right? You know, a lot of people. I was in this space a lot of time in life, but I typically used to go with my heart. I never listened to my head and thing. Right? I ne- I was at a space in my life in the past for a lot of my life that I just gone with my heart because I like romantic love. I like romantic love, and romantic love had placed a large part. I have placed a large part of emphasis right on romantic love in my past because I like love. I like love, right? So this is though to help people with young people and all who going through some stuff, right? Younger people than me who probably might be going through some stuff, like what they refer to or what I used to refer to as head versus heart issues, right? Head versus heart issues, right? Meaning that you like someone and your heart pulling you towards a direction towards them, right? And it making you forget that you have a brain too, right? So you like a person so much. Like sometimes when I think about certain things in the past I went through, I laugh at it. Right? It's funny, right? I comedy it because it's like why? It's like why? Like God choose me as a comedian or something, but I renounce that. I denounce that chosen as a comedian, right? Because at some point we need to take life a little bit more seriously, not too serious, but just a little bit serious, right? So I cannot resign that aspect of my life, right? But anyhow, I was in a space in my life that if I feel attracted to somebody romantically, I just run away with my heart without giving thought to your mind, to your brain, right, or intellect, right, where those things are concerned, where matters of love and so on is concerned, right, and makes you make some stupid decisions, right? Sometimes you ever make a decision, right, that end up turning your life into your entire life. One decision you might make it end up rappelling off your life into a whole disastrous event, right? So this is what the whole topic is about: is being cautious about your decisions, right? Because one wrong decision you might take, and that make a spiral effect and cause an entire life disaster for you, right? And you don't want to function in that way, right? You want to pull back from those impulse decisions, right? Impulse choices or heart. You run away with your emotions, right? This is the aim. Right? At this point in life, stability is the aim, and running away from running after just your emotions, right? So moving away from just emotional impulse. I feel this way, so I'm acting on how I feel, right? That's where you want to. That's where you're trying to get away from, right? So head versus heart decisions and what you should choose, right? In these things, right? Now the Quran gives the best advice on this, which is to have patience, right? The Quran has the best of the best advice, right, that anybody, right, could ever give you, right, on this topic, right? And patience is the only answer to resolving that conflict, right? Because sometimes if I like somebody, you might say, oh, I have such a high attraction towards this person, but hey, what my friends gonna say? But hey, what my family gonna say? Because it might be, for example, especially if it's say for example, an interfaith union, right? Or interreligious union, interracial, interethnic, something, right? Into something, right? And they might say, oh my gosh, hey, but I can't tell my mother this, I can't tell my father this, I can't tell my friends this, right? So you have a secret relationship with a person now, right? Because you propelled, right? Your emotions propelling you, right? You're not thinking straight. I'm not talking about the race. I'm not saying interrace thing is not thinking straight. I'm saying your feelings in that moment in time, right? That's what I refer to your emotions, towards a person in that timing, right? So you might be the right person by the wrong time, right? But you're so propelled and compelled that your heartstring pulling you towards that person, right? That you're doing illogical, impractical things in the name of love, right? And that's what we're trying to get away from, right? So helping young people to navigate these things differently, right? So if your heartstrings pulling you towards a situation, a person, and I say it's just encouraging people to have a little bit of patience. Patience is where you use your mind, right? You think, hey, slow down. Is this practical? Is this logical? Is this reasonable at this particular point in time? Is this the decision I should be taking given my current circumstance? Right? Given life, given how life is unfolding, given situations, given all the aspects of my life, all the aspects of my life, right? And this also has to do with unfaithfulness too. We could bring in on this topic, right? Because sometimes I will make the reference to the movie Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna, right? So I talk about finding love after in a relationship. Right? You're not supposed to do these things. Right? You're not supposed to, this is essentially wrong, right? Once you're in a relationship or marriage, you cut off any access in that regard, right? Not cut off access to all people, right? But cut out any access in that regard, right? To anybody else, right? And whatever issues you have, you resolve it. Plain and simple, right? And it's a hard lesson I had to learn, right? Once in a relationship, right, you cut out any access to anybody else into that life space, into that arena of your life completely, right? Unless it's such a issue as unless some large issue happen within a relationship that you really have no choice but to sever those ties, right? Which I don't foresee happening once as you know what you're getting into, right? So the aim really is to prevent divorce, actually, right? To prevent divorce and stuff, right? So you get yourself in a frame of mind that hey, you're looking for long-term stability with a partner, and you're not looking to break up or you're not looking to divorce, right? Some people is get into a relationship and want to out, right? The first sign of some kind of thing, right? The first sign of something you see, right, in a person, right? They look to out from a relationship, right? We're looking at impulse control, right? Impulse management, right? Management of your impulses, right? How you react, right? Why you react the way you react, right? Is this the right condition in the first? Because sometimes we create a condition for chaos, right? That's what we're trying to get away from, right? Sometimes in life we create conditions for chaos to take place, right? Which could have been avoided by just saying no in the first place, right? So sometimes we introduce situations and people in our life, and that brings a state of chaos to our being, right? So and these things could be avoided by saying, hey, let me put up a boundary here, let me put up a little boundary here, let me put up a little boundary here. Not to cut out you from every access to talking to people or to anything of the sort, but just to say, hey, let me put up a little boundary here, right? Because hey, I'm probably in a work situation, a family situation, a relationship situation, and I don't want to add more drama to my life. I don't want to add more chaos to my life, right? So this is really about taking that responsibility too, right? So you're talking about head and heart space, right? How you know, right? When you're saying, hey, head versus your heart, right? I might like somebody, right? My parents might not approve. Thinking your parents might not approve. This time your parents might be very well okay with it, but it's your approach, right? So yeah, you're thinking your parents will not approve, you're thinking your family will not approve, your friends will not approve, whatever, right? Your family, your mother or father might very well approve of your relationship, but it's just that sometimes you might want to run away and do things before it's timing, before the appropriate timing, right? And that's where the impulse management, meaning the impulse are your emotion, controlling your emotion and your body reaction too, right? So managing your emotion one and managing how your body react to a particular person, right? Because managing your sex drive then, to put it easier, right? Management of your sex drive, meaning your state of arousal when you're around people, right? And managing your emotions when you're around people, right? So sometimes you might be around somebody and you have like extremely high, you have chemistry then, right? What I like to refer to as chemistry. I like chemistry, right? So I like a relationship where I have chemistry with somebody, right? That is one, right? But chemistry doesn't mean long term sustenance of a relationship. Is important, but it doesn't necessarily mean that because you have chemistry with somebody that relationship gonna last forever. In fact, that could be a real temporary fleeting thing. It could be a moment, right? So chemistry is not the only thing to sustain that relationship, and that's why we need to think about too, right? So yeah, we like chemistry. I like chemistry. I like a lot of the way like physical touch, chemistry with a person, all that, right? But it's not the only thing that's gonna help sustain a long term relationship, right? So patience, right, with regard to your head versus heart situation, right? Your emotions tugging you to a person, your body, sex drive, hormones driving it towards a person, right? You pause and say, hey, is this the right time, circumstance, given everything around me, right? Given all things, considering reason, logic, practical, everything, right? Is it a practical approach at this particular point in time? And I always say the person that's right for you will fight for you, and sometimes the best form of fighting is just waiting, right? So when it comes to our relationship, if somebody really like you, right, they will wait on you, right? They will not force you to have a relationship with them. They will not force you to choose, hey, you're choosing your mother or father versus them, you're choosing your friends versus them, right? That's immaturity, right? That's immaturity, right? So somebody who likes you, who interested in you, they'll wait out a period of time, right? If that's what it means, right? If hey, you wait until whatever situations in life, whatever had to resolve, and then you approach a person, right? Something like that, right? So it's not like, hey, it's not that you're trying to eliminate certain problems instead of facing it, but you're waiting until you have any patience, until both of you in a state of calm, right? Until both of you in a state of internal calm regarding the environments, right? And then you move forward in that way, right? So that's how you really resolve those things, right? Um, is to just slow down, calm down, right? Because a lot of these head versus are the head versus heart situations is be situations like what, right? Maybe an inter-ethnic thing, right? Relation. Maybe an interfaith, well, interfaith relation. Inter-ethnic includes interfaith relations or inter-race relations, right? Both of you different race or different type of hair, right? Simple as that. Or different religions, right? You're born and grew up in different religions, right? And that's creates a lot of chaos, right? um so that's that, right? So with patience now, right, that kind of resolve and that issue, because with patience you come to understand each other background, right? And so you cancel out all the things that need resolving in there, right? So if I am one religion, you are next religion, but we like each other, right? You spend some time understanding a person, I spend some time understanding you, right, and your religious background, and you spend some time understanding my religious background, right? And that's how you resolve those things, right? So I understand you, and then, I kind of become one with you, right? So I seek you, right, and you seek me. So I spend time, right, in your domain, right? I spend some time in your domain or your sphere of functioning, right, and understand, hey, why it is, why you think the way that you do, and you spend some time in my domain, my realm of function, hey, why you think the way that you do, right? And so you become one with that now. You become one, right? And that's what that patience allowing you to do now. A patience giving you the freedom to do that. That patience, and that's a good thing about patience with regard to these head versus heart situations. The patience now giving you freedom, right? So the book, the Quran, right? The patience is giving you freedom, right? To understand somebody else. So that's how deep this is, right? That's how deep patience is, right? The virtue of patience is that, hey, I get the virtue itself is giving me the freedom to understand you, and that's depth, right? That's depth. That's what depth is, right? The patience, right, that you're exercising in that moment in time, right, is giving you the freedom to understand each other, and that's a real beautiful thing, right? That's a real beautiful thing, right? So that's how you really resolve that, right? Because in a real relationship, if you and a person want that to work, right, it's going to work. It are no two ways about it, right? It had nothing but what the world say, what your religion say, what your mother, your father, your siblings, your family say, right? In a real relationship, that two people want to be together, it's nothing. It's a state of maturity. It's a state of saying, hey, I want you, you want me, right? That is all, right? And it's like the freedom is there to say, hey, well, I willing to explore this part of you, you willing to explore this part of me, right? And you make it work, right? You make it work. You eventually make it work, and you eventually make it, right? That's how that had a function, right? Not as an impulse, hey, rush this, that, right? Cause chaos, drama. The most drama in the world is caused simply by rushing, right? The most drama in the world, right, is caused within ourselves and the world is caused by rushing. You're rushing in a space, right, which is a relationship, right? Say in a relationship, you're rushing in a space because your relationship is impact your life the most, right? So you're rushing in a space where you're supposed to be taking your time, right? A relationship, right? A in-person relationship. So you physically interact with people before you're supposed to. You emotionally get wound up with somebody else's karma, right? And that could ripple off into a whole, like I say, life disaster, right? When you look to get tied up in somebody else's karma that really not supposed to be yours, right? Certain things not supposed to be yours to be taken on, but you end up having to take on somebody else's karma now because you wrap up your emotion, your mind and your emotions, right? Your mind and heart, you wrap up with somebody else. You're not supposed to be wrapping up yourself with, right? And those kind of things is ripple off into the worst thing. So this is just a slow down, to observe a situation, say, hey, you know what? Let me take the time to analyze this. Given all the factors, was the most appropriate step, right? And patience, like I say, if somebody like you, a person will wait on you, right? That's how I see it at this point in life.